From the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, C.W. Paris Elementary School in Washington, D.C., right? Yes. Have any of you been here before? Wow. Great. Welcome back. You're at the Young Reader Center of the Library of Congress, and we're very glad to have you. And our partner today in this program is Everybody Wins DC. And they have brought a very special guest for you, and a special guest at the end. So this is actually a couple. This is a really neat guest. What the Young Reader Center does with the Everybody Wins DC is bring a guest who either talks about a career or a vocation or a special hobby, which is an avocation. And today we have Dr. James Salander, whose career is a surgeon, but his hobby, his avocation, is beekeeping. How many people have met a beekeeper before? Okay, well, by the end of this morning, you're all going to met one. So I'm going to turn the program over to Tim. He's going to talk a little bit. He's going to show you a lot of things. He'll do a little reading, because we always tie our programs into a book, which you'll get to take home with you. So here you go, Jim.
Thank you. Thanks very much. Good. Come on in a little closer, because I got stuff that's I'm going to be passing around, and it'll be easier if everybody's up close. There you go. That's terrific. What's a hobby? Who knows what a hobby is?
A hobby is something like what you want to do all the time.
Something you want to do all the time. Do you get to do it all the time? No. So when do you do it? Do you have a hobby? What's your hobby? Yeah.
My hobby is playing outside.
Playing outside? Okay, that's good. Do you have a hobby? What's your hobby?
My hobby is reading.
Reading. Okay. One more hobby. What's your hobby? Drawing pictures. Okay, good. And you guys do those when? You do those during the day? After school, yeah. And adults have hobbies too, moms and dads and grandparents and so forth. And I have a hobby also. And we've already been told that during the day I'm a doctor. I do stuff, doctoring, I do surgery. But on the weekends, I have a hobby too. And my hobby is keeping honeybees. So that's what we're going to talk about today. How many have ever seen a honeybee up close? Up close? You have? Okay, good, good. Well, we're gonna get to meet some of my bees here in a few minutes. Just a minute. Don't have to worry. Don't have to worry. What are you worried about? When I say honeybees, what are you worried about? Yeah. They might sting you. Okay, they might. But you know, there's a lot of things out there, whether it's cars or whether it's the knife and fork at the dinner table. But if you know how to use those things and you understand those things, then you don't have to worry about getting hurt. Nobody's going to get hurt with my bees today, okay? Nobody's going to get, but you can get some good stuff from bees. What do we get from bees? Honey. Sure, we get honey. Okay, so let's talk about the bees and what they do and what I do. They'll be, yeah.
Are we going to be able to taste some honey?
Taste some honey? Well, if we're real nice to the bees and you're not afraid of them, sure. I got some honey for you to taste, and I have some honey for you to take home. Okay? So, now, where do the bees, how does this start? Let's talk, where do the bees get this honey from? Where do they get it from? Yeah.
They get their honey from the flowers.
From what?
Flowers,
From flowers. Okay. Now, when they go out to the flower, do they get honey or do they get something else and then make the honey? Okay, they get something else. What do they get? Just a sec. What'd you say, huh? Well, they go out and they get pollen, and we'll talk about that separate. But what do they use to make the honey with? What do they use to make the honey with? Nectar. Everybody hear that word? Nectar. Because that's what they get from the flower. Okay, so they go out to the flower, and they collect that nectar, and then, let's see, how do they bring that back? If I sent you to the store, the nectar's like a liquid, right? It's like milk, or it's about that, or it's like water. But how do they carry that? They come out with a little jug or something? Or does it come all packaged like milk does? No? How does it get there? By their mouth. So they just fill up their mouth? No? And how do they do that? How do the bees, yeah?
They swallow it and then it goes all the way to the back of the...
They swallow it. But how do they get it? How do they get it in? I have a picture of some bees here. Well, did we decide how they do that? Through their nose? Like an elephant? No, the antennas are, we're going to talk about those in a little bit. Those are up here. Their tongues. They have a long tongue. I'll show you a picture of it. Here's the tongues. I only have this to pass around. I'll show you. But here are some bees. They're in a hive, and they got their tongues out, and they're doing stuff with the honey here. So I'm just going to show you what the tongues look like. Okay, see the tongue? It sticks out like this. Who has a tongue? You guys got tongues? Let's see your tongue. The tongues? Well, imagine you went to the store with somebody. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Imagine if you went to the store to pick up a quart of milk. You go there with your mother or your grandmother or your brother or your sister, or you go yourself. And you need to pick up that quart of milk. So you're going to do what? You're going to go to the store. You're going to pick up a quart of milk, right? Pick it up with your hands, carry it home. But the bees aren't going to do that. They're going to pick it up with their tongue. And they're going to go over just like these guys here. That's a pretty tough trick. And then they're going to swallow it and then bring it back to the hive. Well, how do they get it up? Well, the bees do something that if you did it, it would be because you were sick. But the bees swallow it, and they put it in a special stomach, and then when they get back to the hive, they bring it up. Okay? Well, now, wait a minute. Not just a minute. How many of you guys drink milk? How many of you drink milk? Well, the cows eat grass and stuff, and the milk comes out, and you drink the milk. How many eat eggs? All right, so we get a lot of different stuff from animals, and the animals or the insects kind of do things differently than you and I would do if we were making food. Now, what else do they get at the hive that they may bring back to at the flower to bring back home? Somebody else talked about it a minute ago. Pollen? What's pollen? What's the pollen? Who hasn't answered something?
Pollen is something when like it got a little stuff like a little honey, like those little honey things.
It's not little honey things. It's different than the nectar. It's different. What is it?
Pollen, when they land on a flower, when they get close to a flower, pollen gets on the flower and makes a seed and helps the flowers grow.
Right. That's what the flower has, the nectar inside the flower, and then it also has this pollen. But what is pollen? If I gave it to you, what would it look like? what would it look like? What does pollen look like? Is it liquid like the nectar?
No.
Is it like a cube of sugar, a big chunk?
No.
What's it look like?
It looks like a small crumb.
Like a small what? Crumb. Yeah, it's like small crumb. It's like salt or pepper. It's little bits and pieces. Okay? And the bees do two things with the pollen. Okay? One thing is they pack up some of that pollen and they take it back to the hive. And I'm going to show you that in a minute. I'm going to show you what that looks like when the bees get it back into the back home. But what else do they do with it? What else happens when they go to the flower? And this is a real important part, because this is what the flower gets out of the deal. I mean, what's the flower doing? Why is the flower giving them nectar?
When they get the nectar, the seeds from the flower fall and they make other flowers.
Well, the seeds, not seeds, but the pollen. We're talking about the pollen. When they go to get the nectar, they come over here to the flower and they're drinking it up, okay, over here. And what happens is they get that pollen all over themselves. It's like if you were at the table eating and you got kind of messy. You'd get the food all over yourself. Or you might get something else all over yourself. And what they do is they go to one flower, and then they go to another flower, and that pollen that gets on them gets spread to another flower. And that's very important for the flower part of this. And that's what the flower gets out of this deal. That's a very important job that the bee has, to spread that pollen around so that the flowers can do what? Grow. And what happens when the flowers grow after the bees have been there? What do we get from those flowers? Just pretty flowers?
No.
What happens? What becomes of that flower? They bloom, okay. And then what happens? What happens to that flower? Oh, this is important. It grows into what? A bigger flower, yeah. What else happens? A tree? And what do we get from the tree? Everybody hear that? Stand up. What do we get from that tree that the bee gives the pollen to the flowers, and the flower gets bigger, and the tree gets bigger, and then what do we get from the flower?
Apples.
Everybody hear that? Apples and pears and all kind of other pumpkins. Pumpkins don't grow on trees. You're absolutely right. You can sit down. Thank you. Okay, but there's a whole lot of food that you guys eat and that you guys see on the table that the bees are part of that. That's what the bees are doing. But we're here to talk not so much about the apples or the pears or the pumpkins or the squash or the almonds. How many eat nuts? How many like nuts? Almonds, walnuts, big deal with the bees. But let's talk about the honey. So, the bees have gone out there. Let's see, this might be a good time to meet some of the bees. You want to do that? Okay. Now, let me just tell you before everybody gets all concerned here, these bees are not living. They are not living. They have spent the last few weeks in the freezer of my house. They're going to stay in the plastic bag. You will not get stung. Okay? Now, we're going to pass them out, and I want you to look at them. We're going to take a couple minutes to look at them real close. And I want you to see, please, they're in a plastic bag. But I want you to look at different parts of them. Some of you may have two bees in there. I want you to see the wings. I want you to see the antenna. They're all going to get passed out. Let me have some more. Here, there's enough for everybody. There's enough for everybody. If you don't want to, you don't have to, but I can promise you nobody is going to get hurt with these bees today.
You want to know what else?
Huh?
You want to know what else about bees? They taste with their feet.
They taste with their... we can talk about that with their antenna. Has everybody got at least one? Now, what I want to show you... Okay, can you see? Can you see? First, I want you to see, first of all, how small they are. These are just little things, the little guys. Okay, they're little tiny things. And now I want you to see their wings that they use to fly around with and to bring back the nectar and to bring back the pollen. Now, some of you will be able to see on the head, there are those two little things off the top. What are those called? The antennas. And those are very important because that's what, just like you, if you were in a dark room and I handed you something, how would you know what I gave you? Your hands, right? And that's basically what the bees do with their antenna, is they use their hands not to pick up, but they use their antenna to feel things. Some of you will also see in your bees, if you look, you see the head and you can see the eyes. Now here's the important part, guys. I want you to look at the other end of the bee, up close. Some of you may see the bee's stinger. You may see that little pointed thing at the end of his butt. That's what he's got. It's not a tail there, it's his stinger. Can you see him? You don't see, you may not have a stinger. You may not see the stinger. Well, you got a couple guys in there, a couple gals. Sure you do. See that little pointy thing right there?
Whoa! Does he know? Are these girls? I am scared.
What'd you ask?
Are these girls?
These are girls. These are all girls. There you can see the stingers right there. Kids, these are all girl bees. These are all girl bees. Okay?
How can you tell them apart?
Well, more importantly, the bees can tell them apart. But I know that these are girls. I'll tell you that in a minute. I'll explain to everybody. Okay, everybody got to know your bees? Let's pick them back up. We'll take them back up. Well, you got a dandy here. This is good. Did everybody see the wings? Everybody see the antlers? Or the antennas? The antlers. Now, somebody asked me, I'm sorry, what's your name? Joy? Jolene. You asked me. Who asked me if I knew they were girl bees? Well, there are three kind of bees in the hive. Three kind of bees. What kind of bees are they? The queen bee? Boy bees, and they're called drones. And then there are the lady bees, which are the worker bees that you have. And here's some other bees, just to show you. These are all kind of old and dried up. But what I want you to see here, what I want you to see is the different size. This top bees here are queen bees. They're all kind of dried up, so you can't see very much of them. But these are the size of the boy bees. They're the drones. And the girl bees are on the bottom. They're smaller. Okay?
What's that in her bag? Oh,
Okay, everybody see these back here? These are the boy bees. And these are the girl bees. This one's broken. These are the boy bees. These are the queen bees.
Is it nails in them?
Yeah, little pins. Yep, coming over there. Excuse me? Excuse me? Excuse me? Here are the boy bees. They're the bigger bees. And these are the girl bees. This one's broken.
Look at that.
And this is the queen bee. Excellent question.
What's that one?
Okay. Now, when I pass these kids, oh, shh, just a sec. Just a sec. Somebody asked me over here about why these bees on the top, the queen bees, had a little piece of paint on them. They have a little green dot on them. And the reason for that is that in the hive, a hive is where they live, that's their home, right? In the hive, there are all these bees. There are thousands of bees in there. And if I want to go and see the queen to be sure that she's healthy, or if I want to do something with the queen, it's very, very difficult to find them because, as you can see, there's not much difference. And so when you can mark them with a little tiny dot from a magic marker, a little bit of paint, and that's what this little one right there is. Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
That was a bee?
These are the queen bees up here. Okay, so the bees collect up the nectar, they collect up the pollen. How do they bring the pollen back to the hive? How do they bring it back to the hive? They swallow the nectar.
And they put it in the special stomach, and then when they get back to the hive, they can bring it back up.
That's the nectar. How about the pollen, that stuff that's like pepper? They what? Well, no, their body is for sharing with the other flowers. They carry it in a little saddle like a pocket. Just like if you had something you wanted to carry, they have little pockets on their sides, and they carry it, okay? Like little saddlebags on a bicycle. Okay, so they come back to the hive, right? And these, I got hives here. There are no live bees in here. There are no live bees, but this is the hive. And what the hive is a stack of boxes, okay? And there's a top and there's a bottom. Now, when you go home at night, you just kind of throw your stuff in the house? Or do you have it, are there closets? And where do you keep books? Where do you keep books? On shelves. And where do you keep your clothes? Okay, you got a place to put that. Well, when the bees come back to their house, they have to have places to put their stuff, right? And so that's what my job is to give them the box. And inside the box, the shelves, I give them a piece of wood. Okay?
What's the wood for?
Don't go away. Then I give them a piece of plastic. And I put the two together. And this is what it looks like.
That's a honeycomb.
It's still not honeycomb, because now, if they put it on there, it would just kind of smush off, right? That wouldn't work very well. It'd be like having a dresser and no drawers in it, or a drawer and no bottom on the. You put it in there, it falls all the bottom. So look what the bees do. Look what the bees do. The bees have the wax. Where do the bees get the wax from? Whoa. Now, kids, let's have a hand. Let's have a hand. Where do the bees get the wax from?
How people get honey?
There's a sec.
The flowers?
No, they don't get it from the flowers. They don't get it from the flowers. Who has not answered? Yeah. No, they don't get it from the pollen either. Where do they get the wax from? Where do they get the wax? No. No. Let me tell you where the wax comes from, because they get a lot of it. Look at this. There's wax. There's more wax. There's all these spaces. And look at this. This is what's the matter? This is the pollen. This is the pollen. Oh, there's a bee. Kids. So what do they put in the spaces? In here, they put honey. What else goes in there? I'm sorry? No. What else do they put in their closet? I showed you here. I showed you that they put in the pollen. What else do they have in there besides pollen and honey? Wait a minute, kids. We got all these bees. Where do the bees come from? Oh. And where do they, Where do they come from?
The queen.
They come from the queen, and the queen lays an egg. Well, where do they put the egg? Wait a minute. Kids, one at a time. Where do they put the egg? The queen's got all these thousands of bees there. We can't just dump them in a drawer and let them all fall to the bottom. Where does the queen put the eggs so the eggs will grow up and be bees? Now think about that.
They had them in the honey in the honeycomb.
Well, yes, but they don't mix them in together. But what she does is they have they put them in the same kind of arrangement. Now, this is a little discolored. This is darker because it's been used many times as a nursery for the bees. Here's a nursery that hasn't been used very much. Okay, this one's been used a lot, and that's why it's dark. And she goes in there, and she puts in an egg into each one of these, and then the worker bees come along, give it a little drop of honey, and somebody else gives it a little drop of the pollen, and then they close it over. And then the egg becomes a bee. And then the bee climbs out and goes to work with everybody else. But let's look at this for a second. I didn't answer the question where the wax comes from. Where does the wax come from? One more person gets to try. Nope, the wax doesn't come from the honey. When you go out in the yard, when you go outside and play real hard, do you sweat?
Yes.
So little drops of water come off, right? Listen to this one, guys. The bees sweat wax. Now, they don't do it all. When they go out and run around, it doesn't just come dripping off them. But if they need wax, to fill this up, some of them begin the wax coming off them. And they take and mold it into this, and they mold it into this, and that's where it comes from. And that's also where they put the honey. That's honey. That's the honey. It's gross?
It's not gross.
You say it's gross? Too close. You guys are going to get real close to the honey. Is anybody going to eat the honey I give you?
Yes.
How much closer can you get? Here we go. Now look at this. It doesn't come off. Because the bees have put little tops on their jars, little tops on here, and this is capped honey. They've capped it so that it can store there. And why do the bees have all this honey in the hive anyway? Why do they make honey? They make.
So they can drink some food and eat food?
That's right. So they can eat it. Because in the winter, now, there's no flower. Well, there's a few flowers out now, but in January, when they get hungry, they can't go to the store. They can't go to the grocery store. They can't go to Whole Foods or the Safeway. They can't go to the vending machine and put some money in and get out a candy bar. They eat the honey, so they have to make, and my job is to trick them into making more honey. Well, let's go back to this one for just a second on the subject of the nursery where the bees were. You see the color, it's dark, it's much darker than this other one, right? Okay, and here's a funny hole in it for some reason, I'm not sure why. But what else do you see here? What do you see here that's different? Tell me, somebody tell me something. What do you see here that's different? What?
It's darker and it got big clumps.
Well, first of all, it's a little irregular, right? This one was nice and smooth. See, this is smooth and this is kind of bumpy. Besides being bumpy, does anybody see anything different? What's different here? Big holes. You mean these guys here? Yeah, they're big holes. Okay. Everybody got your thinking cap on? Why are some of the holes bigger than the other holes?
Because they get too much water.
Why do the bees go ahead and make some bigger than others? Who can answer that question for me? Who has not answered a question before? Who's not answered a question? Huh? You have answered a question. Well, can you answer this one? Why are they bigger? Who can tell me why these holes are bigger? Yeah.
They're bigger because the holes are big because probably some bees can come out.
Well, the bees can come out. The bees can come out of the small ones too. But why would the bees go to the trouble of making big holes in small holes?
The queen plays eggs inside of the
Okay. Yep, she put eggs in them. I'm going to give you a hint. Here comes a hint. Everybody ready for a hint?
Yes. Queen bee. Oh, because maybe because some of the eggs might be. Could they sleep?
Some of the eggs might be bigger. The eggs aren't bigger, but why do you need a bigger hole?
Because it might be a lot of boy bees.
That's the answer. It's because the boy bees need a bigger space because they come out bigger bees. Well, you're right. There aren't that many. There aren't that many. And overall in the hive, they only make up a very small percentage of the eggs that the queen lays. But she comes around. Now listen to this. You got to believe me. You got to have faith on this. The queen comes around and she comes to one of those little holes or big holes and she feels it with her antenna. Okay? And she says, oh, this is a small hole. And in there she lays an egg that will become a female. And if she comes around to a hole that's big, what happens? She lays an egg that's going to become a boy. Now there's a trick for you. Okay, that she does that. And the worker bees make the holes, make the spaces based on what they think they're going to need. It's like if you were building a house at home and you said, well, I need a dresser, I need a closet that's got this much space in it because I'm going to have a lot of dresses and coats. Or maybe I'll only make one this size because my coats are going to be smaller. So now we know about the wax, we know about the baby bees, we know about the honey. They are not, didn't I tell you at the beginning that nobody was going to get stung or hurt?
It was frozen. You put it in a freezer?
I went to the hive earlier this year and the whole hive had died. The bees had died, okay? And so I took it back to the house and I saved it so that one, that I could show it to you guys, and two, I'm going to give it to some other bees in the spring. But on one of these frames, these are the bees that clustered around here. Okay? And this is what they happened to be, they died in place. And so I brought this in to show it to you what the bees look like. Because the bees cluster in a group in the winter. They don't hibernate like bears. And they don't migrate like, who migrates? What animal migrates and goes away for the winter where it's warm? Who does that?
A bear?
No, the bears go to sleep. They hibernate in a cave or some dark place. But who goes away for the winter where it's warm? Birds. That's called
Hibernate.
No, sleeping is the hibernating. Flying away is the migrating. Well, the bees don't do either. The bees don't do either. If I turned the temperature in this room down so that it was real cold, so that it was snowing in here, that's how cold it was, what would you guys do if you couldn't leave? You might snuggle up with each other. When you come out from playing outside on a cold day, doesn't it feel good when somebody gives you a hug? Kind of feels warm. And that's what the bees do in the winter, is they snuggle up to keep warm. Okay, so we've got the bees, we got the honey, we got the hive. Now let me tell you what my job is, how I get the honey out of the hive once I've tricked the bees into making more honey than they need. Okay? A hive is a stack of boxes, yes? How much honey do you think the bees need for the winter in one stack of boxes? And I'll tell you that they don't go next door to borrow any. And they don't go to the 7-Eleven to buy any. So we have a stack of boxes that's a hive. How much honey do you think they need for the winter? I need pounds. Somebody tell me the number of pounds. 300 pounds. No, not that much. Not that much.
100, 200 pounds.
No, they only need 60 pounds. But we're going to taste some honey in a little while from these jars that are a half a pound. And as long as I have this out here, these are 3 jars of honey. 3 jars of honey. Now this jar is bigger, but what else is different about these 3 jars? Look at them and tell me what's different about these 3 jars.
One is light and one dark.
This one's real dark, right? How about these 2? This honey here was from 2004. That was 11 years ago. Was that before you guys were born?
Yes.
So this jar of honey is older than you guys. But what's the difference between these 2 jars of honey besides the age? Is the difference in color, right?
Yes.
Why is it different color? Why is this honey so dark?
Because it's older. It's older.
No, this honey's just a year old. It's not that old. But why are 2 jars of honey different color? Different color. Different kinds of bees. No, they all make the same stuff. They all make the same stuff. Yeah. Different what? Different kinds of honey, but how does it get to be different kinds? These are from the same place, different years. Same place, different years. One more. Excuse me. Everybody be very quiet. Shh. What's the answer? Different flowers. Different flowers. Excellent answer. This year, they went to all these flowers here, but this year, maybe it was raining one day and they couldn't get to these flowers over here, so they went to those flowers over there. And they came up with different colors. And it tastes a little different. And what do you think happened here? They were really different flowers in that area where those bees were. This is called buckwheat honey.
Buckwheat honey.
And it's almost like molasses. It's very dark, but it's just honey. No chemicals, no nothing. So, how do I get in and out of the hive without getting you know what? Stung. How does that happen? I don't put them all in the freezer the night before.
You use a special suit?
Special suit. Come on up. I need some people to try on the equipment and to hold, just a second, and to hold some of the tools that I use, but you got to be quiet so you can hear the whole story. Why don't you come on up? You come on up first, and then we'll take a family picture. There we go. Okay, you all set? You can put your arms out in there. I need a couple more people. Where's it? Right here? Right here. Come on up. Oh, over the top. There you go. There we go. I got to have somebody else come on up. Here we go. Where's my other? Here we go. I'm sorry, I stepped on your toe. Put that on, just like a jacket. And I got one more that's got to come. Who's been a... Right there, you come on up. The flower girl. Now I got some other stuff that I need help with. I need other stuff because I want to show you some other tools. There you go. I want to show you some other tools. Now look at this item. Just a second. This keeps the bees off of my face and off of my clothing and then off of my... And then I have this. I have this. What is this? It's a smoker. Now watch. I want to show you something. What's your name? What is it? Huh? Shelly? Shalisa. So when I come over to Shalisa, she don't like it. And he don't like it either. Now wait a minute. The bees don't like it either. And so if I come into the hive and I give it a puff, what I do is I build a little fire in here. I build a little fire in there, and out comes smoke. There's no fire in there now, and the bees don't like it either. They move away. And so that's what happens. So I use this smoker to blow a little smoke on the bees. It doesn't hurt them. It's not hot. It's not fire. Okay? So I need somebody to hold this for me. Okay? Now I have this. I have a brush. Come on up the front with a brush. I have special tools. Where's my other special? Oh, here it is right there. Special tools for going in. And look what this tool does. No, this is not scrapers. Watch this. If there are two of these that are real close together, this tool, see this hook on the end? It goes there, and it allows me to pick that up. So I need some people to hold these. There we go. Just 1 second. And when I bring all those back to the hive, let's have some other people hold these. You can. You're holding that? Who wants to hold the honey? Oh, here's something that's very interesting. Look at this. Look at this. Wait a minute. You got to know what it is. What else do you think the bees don't like besides smoke?
Water. Vitamins.
It's water.
It's just water.
They don't like. Just like cats. Can I hold the bees right here?
Here we got the bees. Somebody's got to hold the bees. Okay, we need a group picture. Everybody else stand up over this way here so we can have a group picture. We got to have somebody hold the honey. Hold it, hold it. I need some holders for these. No, you've got that on. Here you go. Here you go. Who hasn't got something to hold? Who wants to hold the one with the bees on it? Okay, just hold it up over your head. You got it? Hold it up. You got it? Everybody got something? You want to hold this one? Hold it up. Turn around. Turn around. Hold it up. Hold it up. Okay, here we go. Okay, guys. There, turn towards the camera. Oh, you got to hold this. Hold this over your head so they can see that. There we go. Okay, guys, let's have everything back slowly. Slowly. There you go. Did you get to stick a finger in there? Quick, 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 stick a finger. You see these guys here? See, these were the male bees. The boy bees were down there. See that? These are the girl. The girl bees are up here. You want to see that? Look at this. These are the boy bees here. These are the girl bees down here. Questions. Now, what else? The bees, we talked about what the bees do with the wax. What can we, and we know what we do with the honey. What do we do with the wax? What do we do with the wax? What can you do with the wax? Make candles. So what I do is I collect up some of this wax and I melt it down and I strain it and then I pour it into this and out comes that. A candle that you can light. What's this thing in the middle called, by the way? What's this string in here in the middle called? A tweet? No. A what?
A twig.
A twig? No. I'm going to give you a new word then. It's a new word.
Match.
Nope. Match is what you light it with. What's in the middle is called a wick. Wick. W-I-C-K. That's a wick. And so you can make candles from it. Because a long time ago, there weren't electricity. Now we got something else that's very important to go through now that we're on the subject of light and electricity. So we've got a stack. I'm going to do one more thing and then I'm going to read. We have a stack of boxes, okay? Does anybody see any windows here in this box? No. Does anybody see any electric light bulbs in this box? No. Now wait a minute. So we have a bunch of boxes, maybe 6 or 8 of them, with no windows and no electric lights. Uh-oh. There's a door at the bottom. No. There's a door at the top. Little opening for them to come in and out of. But once they come back to the hive, if you went to the store, you were on a walk one day, and you found a place they were giving away free candy, and you wanted to come back and tell your friends about it, how would you do that? You'd come back and you'd walk back and you'd tell them about the candy. You'd say, hey, there's candy over there. In fact, I brought you a piece of it. Here's a piece of it. Let's all go. It's just down the street, right? But it's dark in there. When you were looking at the bees, did you see ears on those bees? No ears. No ears. And their mouth doesn't talk. Whoa, how are they going to tell the other bees where the flowers are? Antennas? Not too much. Not too much. Well, I'm going to tell you exactly what the secret of the bees is, how they talk to each other in this circumstance. They dance. Everybody on your feet. Everybody on your feet. I'm going to teach you the bee dance. Okay, but you got to listen. You got to listen. Shh. First of all, what they do is they go in a circle. They dance in a circle, and depending upon, it's like a little figure of 8, and that's how it tells them the direction. Okay, stop. Now we got direction how to get to the candy store, but we don't know how far the candy store is. So what do you think they do? They jiggle their behinds. That's how they do it. So everybody give your behinds a jiggle. Everybody give your behinds a jiggle. Okay, stop, stop, stop. Now I want you to do the both of them together. I want you to walk in a little bit of a circle, and I want you to jiggle your bottom. Okay, very good, very good. Now that was the easy part. But if you were a bee and it depended upon, because what you're doing is you're getting honey for everybody else. It's not just for you that you're getting the honey. They got to cooperate with all the other bees to go out and get all that nectar and bring it back so that those bees can have something to eat and the bees this winter can have something to eat. So they got to cooperate. So it's very important for this last step in the bee dance. And it's the hardest step. Close your eyes because it's dark in there. It's dark. So I want everybody to close their eyes, walk in a circle, and wiggle your behind. And that's the bee dance. That's the bee dance. Okay, guys, that's it. Now listen, what you have to understand, everybody had a good time giggling and for the bees, it's a serious business. Everybody have a seat? Everybody have a seat? What I want to do is, how many know this book, Winnie the Pooh? Well, when you leave here today, everybody will have a book about Winnie the Pooh. And I'm going to read you part. Winnie, Pooh is a bear. If you don't know the book, Pooh is this bear in the middle. He's Pooh Bear, okay? And Winnie is his friend. And I want to read a little bit to you about Winnie, about the Pooh Bear who lives in the woods. One day when he was out walking, that's Pooh, here's his picture there, he came to an open space in the middle of a forest. And in the middle of a place there was a large oak tree, and from the top of the tree, way at the top of the tree, there came a loud buzzing noise. Can anybody make a buzzing noise? Let's all do that. 1, 2, 3. Buzz. Excellent. Winnie the Pooh sat down at the foot of the tree and put his head between his paws and began to think. Okay, everybody put their head between their paws and think. Okay, come back again. Here he is right here. First of all, he said to himself, the buzzing noise like that means something. Everything means something, right? You don't get a buzzing noise like that, just buzzing without it meaning something. If there's a buzzing noise, somebody's making the buzzing noise. And the only reason for making a buzzing noise that I know of is because you are a bee. So here he is here. See, he's looking up and he sees these bees. And then he thought another long time. What do you think he's thinking about? Yeah, he's thinking about honey. And he said, and the only reason for being a bee that I know of is making honey. And then he got up, and the only reason for making honey is so that I can eat it. This is Pooh speaking. So he began to climb a tree. And here he is climbing this tree. See, it's all the way up here. And look what they did with the words. They put the words up on the side like you were climbing. The words here. Is that fun?
So the words that go up.
He climbed, and he climbed, and he climbed. And as he climbed, he sang a little song to himself. And it went like this. I taught you the bees dance. Now we're going to learn the bear's song. Isn't it funny how a bear likes honey? Buzz, buzz, buzz. I wonder why he does. Then he climbed a little further and a little further and a little further. And by the time, that way, he had another song. So he's climbing up the tree. See him climbing here? And he's going up and up and up and up, trying to get to the bees up here at the top. It's very funny, this is his song, it's very funny, thought that, if bears were bees and they built their nests at the bottom of trees, and that being so, if the bees were bears, we shouldn't have to climb up these stairs. He was getting rather tired by this time, so that's why he began to sing a complaining song. He was nearly there, and just as he stood on the top branch to get the hive, crack! Uh-oh. Oh, help, said Pooh as he dropped 10 feet on the branch below. If only I hadn't, he said as he bounced 20 feet to the next branch. Boom, boom. You see what I meant to do, he explained as he turned head over heels and crashed on another branch 30 feet below. That's what I meant to do. Of course, it was rather, he admitted as he slithered very quickly through the next branches, it all comes, I suppose. He decided as he said goodbye to the last branch. And he spun around 3 times and flew gracefully into a bush. It all comes because, why did this happen to Pooh?
Because he was trying to take the
But why was he climbing the tree?
so he was honey.
It all comes from liking honey so much. Oh, help. Well, we have some honey for you guys today to taste here, and then you have some honey that your teacher is going to give you at school at the end of the day that you can take home and share it with somebody else if you like. We're going to have it on a spoon, and we're going to eat some honey from last year, and then these are the little packages here. Let me just show you what this looks like. These are packages of honey sticks. You guys know honey sticks? No, well, okay, what it is, it's a little plastic tube, and it's filled with honey. And when you go home, not at school, not on the way home, but when you get home, you can either bite off the end of this, just a little bit of a nip, or you can have somebody else help you with a scissors and make a little hole there at the end, and then you can suck the honey out. Okay? There's enough here for each one of you and for the teachers as well, okay? We got time for a couple questions. Anybody got more questions? Yes?
I thought we was going to be able to get a jar.
A jar of honey? Well, yeah. I'll tell you, if you keep bees someday, you can have many jars of honey. Well, maybe when you get to be big, you can. Maybe when you get to be big. You know that the president has bees at the White House? There at the White House. Now, he doesn't go out and do it himself, and his wife doesn't do it, but there's a man there that keeps the bees at the White House. What other questions do you have? Yes? The eggs come from the queen. The queen lives for 3 or 4 years. The female worker bees only live for about 4 or 5 weeks. So she is busy laying eggs all of the time. And in a hive that's really working hard in June and July, before I steal all the honey, there may be 60 or 80,000 bees in there, as many people as show up at a Redskins game, all in one hive, all working together, cooperating, and getting that done so that they will have honey, and so that I'll have honey, and so that you'll have honey. Where does what? I'm sorry, where does the queen come from? The queens, if the hive is doing poorly, if the queen gets sick, if the queen gets old, if the queen dies, then the other bees will try and take one of the eggs that she has laid and make it into a queen. They get the queen before she dies, hopefully, to lay an egg in a special large hole, even larger than the ones that I showed you. Okay? Much bigger than about the size of my little finger. And she puts a female egg in there, and then they put some extra stuff in there, and she develops as a queen, and she can live 4 or 5 years. Now, I don't do it that way, but there are people that keep bees who raise queens, hundreds of them, and they come in little boxes. They come in little boxes with a little screen and a little plug of sugar at the end, and you put it in the hive, and the other bees will eat out that sugar and let her release into the hive so that she can become the queen of that hive. But there are people that do that raise the queens. And when I buy bees, if I do, they come in a box. Just like this, and you can get them in the mail. And then there's one of these little things with the queen in it on the inside. What other questions? Couple quick questions. Yeah.
Will you make the bees that?
Will I make the bees?
Like, where you get it from?
Well, I get them, I buy them. If I set my hive up right, then the queen will be making more bees. But if I wanted to start one tomorrow, let's say I had just the wooden stuff, and I wanted to make a hive right there, we'll make a hole in the window, and then they can come in and out of the window. You don't think they'd mind here, do you? What I do is I can buy this, and there's somebody else who takes bees from a hive, dumps them in here, adds a queen, and sells it to me. And then I dump it in my equipment, and if I've done my job right, the bees will like it there, and they'll stay there and make honey and take care of the flowers that are around here. Yes?
Do you like your job?
I do. I do. And you know what the best part of the job is? The best part of the job is the best part is coming and talking to you guys. Coming and talking to other schools, other kids, and teaching people about bees so they don't have to be afraid of them. Okay? But thank you. That was a good question. Yeah. I'm sorry?
It seems like it might be a lot to handle.
Yeah, it's a hobby, but you can learn how. It's like a lot of other hobbies. Yes?
What's your question?
How do they eat the honey?
Ah, good question. Good question. Good question. In the winter, when they want to eat the honey, they use that same tongue that they went to collect it. But they don't put it in that special stomach. They just eat it. And they only eat a very, very little bit because it has to be shared with all the other hives, all the other bees in the hive. It takes a lot of cooperation with all of those bees so that they can do all these jobs. They got to keep it clean in there. Sometimes there's a little bit of dirt. Sometimes the bee dies in there. Sometimes there's a little chunk of wax. They got to keep that real clean. They got to keep it so that it's just the right temperature. It's not too hot. It's not too cold. There's not too much humidity. It doesn't get wet in there. They got a lot of work to do because it's all closed up. And remember the dance? It's dark in there. And they've got to do all their work in the dark. Yes?
How do queen bees get the eggs, though? Like,
Okay. We can do this. The bees, they make the queen, and then the queen goes out of the hive when she gets old enough and she gets strong enough. She goes out and she finds a boy bee to be her husband. And then she comes back to the hive and she's ready to lay eggs. But she never goes out again. She never goes out again. And she stays in the hive for 3 or 4 years and lays thousands of eggs. Boy eggs, girl eggs, all of that. That's all she does. But she doesn't make wax, she doesn't sting, and she doesn't do anything else. The other lady bees, the other girl bees do all that work. Yes?
Where bees lay eggs, where do the eggs come out from?
They come out from her bottom. Right out of her bottom, right where, just like a chicken lays an egg. Now, in the queen, she's got a special apparatus for growing eggs on the inside and a special little opening to drop it out. So she comes over to that opening, she feels the size of it, she's, oh, this one gets a little boy egg. Kabunk. And she gives it a little boy egg. Yeah. And the other one, she feels a little girl egg, and she gives it a girl egg. I don't know how she does that.
How can she make so many eggs
Time? We got one more question? Can we do? One more question, yes. What kind of? Well, it's the person who raises queen bees. In other words, my hives are set up so that they make more honey than they need. Okay? Some people set it up so they make more wax than they need. Some people like the pollen, so they collect the pollen from the bees. But you can set it up, read the books, and learn how to do it so that you can basically trick the bees into making more queens than they need. Thank you all very much for coming. I appreciate it. Now everybody gets a taste of honey. Who's going to be doing this? There's this. Just stick it in. It gets enough honey there for them.
This has been a presentation of the Library of Congress. Visit us at loc.gov.